Do you know what real hell is? It's when you come home after a 14-hour shift, barely able to stand, and see your husband in the arms of your best friend, right on your couch. But that's not the worst part. The worst part is when they look you in the eye and suggest living as a Swedish family, as if it's normal. I'm 30. My husband Mike is 33. This year has been a real test of endurance for me. In April, Mike lost his job and everything fell on my shoulders. Just so we could eat and have a roof over our heads, I worked 70 hours a week, $12 an hour on my feet all the time, until my body gave out. I was exhausted. I had no energy left for intimacy, for conversation, for life. I naively believed that he understood, that he appreciated my sacrifice. But while I was killing myself at work, he was having fun with my best friend, Sarah. Sarah was also unemployed. They always got along well and often spent time together. I was never jealous. I trusted them both as much as I trusted myself. A long time ago, back in 2009, Sarah and I kissed when we were drunk. It was just once, I didn't like it, and we forgot about it. At least that's what I thought. Now I feel like a complete idiot. Tonight I opened the door and froze. They were sitting in each other's arms watching TV. They didn't even jump apart when I came in. It wasn't just a coincidence, it was intimacy that had been going on for a long time. My stomach instantly twisted, my head spun. My body simply refused to obey. I silently walked into the bathroom, locked the door, and just sat down on the floor. Then I started to feel nauseous. I could hear them whispering behind the door, those damn whispers that make you want to scream. When they knocked and asked if I was okay, I could only manage to say, "Obviously not." They didn't even try to make excuses. Sarah just said coldly, "We need to talk about what's going on." I stayed in the bathroom and we talked through the door. Then Mike confessed. He said they had been in a relationship since July. He kept talking, but my ears were ringing and I couldn't focus. The word relationship just echoed in my head. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a fling. This was months of lies. Then Sarah asked me what I thought. I told her I hadn't heard everything Mike said. She replied, "Oh, you missed the part about the three of us living together." I asked her what she meant. Mike explained that she could stay on the couch. He said they would hang out with each other during the day while I was at work. He also said that I could be with her too if I wanted to. That didn't make sense. She knows I don't want that. If I wanted it, that one night many years ago wouldn't have been the only time something happened. Sarah has to move out of her apartment because she can't pay the rent without a job. I told her before that she could stay at my place if she needed to. I never meant it like that. I don't understand how she could think that was okay. I don't know which one of us is stupider, her or me. It's almost 4 a.m. now, and I can't sleep. I don't know what to do next. I don't want to be in a threesome. I don't even want to look at either of them. I feel used, stupid, and completely broken. I'm afraid that if I leave, I'll still be paying for Mike because he doesn't work. That would mean I'm still supporting their relationship, just as I've been doing for months without knowing it. That thought makes me sick. I really hate my life right now. The next day, someone suggested that I write to Mike when I was at work and make him admit in a letter that he had cheated on me. They told me not to be too direct, but just to make him admit what he had done. They apologized to me, but said I needed to get a divorce. What he did was unacceptable, and I had a right to feel betrayed. They told me to take time off if I could, go somewhere where I would feel good, and focus on myself. They said I would get through this. They also told me to find a divorce lawyer as soon as possible. They said the evidence from Mike could help legally. They told me to call my family, parents, siblings, friends, everyone I trust, and ask for help. They reminded me that I could rely on people. I answered honestly. I said I couldn't take time off work. My boss only allows time off if you test positive for COVID, or in his words, if you're in the hospital dying. I said I really wanted to stay home, especially since I definitely wouldn't be able to sleep that night. I said I would have to find a cheap lawyer because we were barely surviving financially. However, I knew I had to get out of that house. I said I felt terrible and depressed. Someone replied and said that nothing was more expensive than not having a lawyer. They said that even if it drained my finances, it would be worth it in the end. Later, when I got home from work, I posted an update. I was depressed in the best possible way. I received so many comments, messages, and support from strangers that honestly, it made me cry. It had been a terrible year, and last night had been brutal, but reading all those kind words made me feel like I wasn't so alone. I promised myself I would read every message, even if it took time. People had even spent money on rewards for a temporary account, and that genuinely touched me. I no longer felt invisible. I still didn't know how best to get out of this situation, but one thing was clear. I absolutely did not agree to a threesome. I made that clear to Mike around 4 a.m. That day at work, my boss took me aside. He asked if I was okay because I looked terrible. I hadn't slept, I felt nauseous, and I hadn't eaten anything. I couldn't think of a lie quickly, so I told him what had happened. He invited me into his office and started looking for legal resources, bar associations, and divorce mediators. Then he looked me straight in the eye and said that if I told anyone at work about this, he would deny that the conversation ever took place. At that point, I completely lost control and started sobbing in his office, which was not my proudest moment. But it turned out that he did have a heart after all. He gave me Monday off and told me to use the time to talk to a lawyer and not to tell my husband about it. So Mike thinks I'll be at work on Monday, but instead I'll be exploring my legal options. As for Mike, I asked him to give me a few days break, and he's sleeping on the couch. Sarah has texted me several times, but I haven't responded. I wasn't ready to deal with her at all. This edit turned out to be much longer than I had planned. In the end, I decided to eat something and get some sleep. And for the first time since this all started, I felt like maybe I wasn't completely alone. A month has passed, and the first thing I want to say is thank you. Thousands of people reached out to me through comments, messages, and chats after my original post. Honestly, I was pleasantly surprised. Some people expressed sympathy. Some shared their stories. Some even offered me work, entertainment, and food. Someone offered me pizza, which still makes me smile. I didn't take the offer, but thanks anyway. I received over 10,000 messages, as well as awards. I regret not thanking everyone individually for the gifts. I was raised to do better, but between work, trying to figure out my personal life, and the sheer volume of messages, it was simply impossible. Of all those messages, only 9 were unpleasant. 7 of them basically told me I should try a threesome. Only 2 were actually offensive, and one of those people later apologized and said they were just trolling. I'm saying all this because I think it's important. Given how angry the world is right now, it helped me to see proof that people can still be kind. Out of 10,000 people, 9,999 were decent. Watching the news, it seems like kindness has disappeared, but this month has shown me that people from all over the world, with different lives and beliefs, can still show compassion. I wish everyone could experience what it feels like to have that kind of support. I want to answer the most important questions that people kept asking. If I miss anything, I'll come back to it later. I even learned how to format the text better so it wouldn't be one big block. Did I expect it to go viral and make me famous? No, not even close. I never thought my post would get so much attention. It made the front page, appeared on podcasts, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. And I even got messages from publications offering me money to tell my story. I'm so glad I used a disposable account. I was able to step back while I try to get my life back on track. In real life, I'm quiet and don't like attention, so anonymity was a relief for me, at least almost anonymity. A few people figured out who I was, and my husband definitely realized it was me who posted it. I want to make one thing clear. If anyone claims that this story belongs to them, they are lying. I will never reveal who I am. No amount of money will change that. The people in my real life also did not share this information on social media, for which I am more grateful than I can express. I am a private person and want to remain so. Am I getting divorced? Yes, 1,000 times yes. He cheated on me and tried to manipulate me, and I did not agree to be married to more than one person. This is not the life I want. People who live a polyamorous lifestyle have reached out to me and have been very kind. They explained that what my husband and my ex-friend did was not in line with the principles of polyamorous relationships. They told me that true polyamorous relationships are built on trust, honesty, and communication. None of that was present here. So yes, I am getting divorced. Did I meet with a lawyer? Yes, and I'm very glad I did. I learned a lot. Where I live, divorce is a process, and even if both parties agree, it can take about a year. If one party resists, it can take even longer. After a mountain of paperwork, I am now officially divorced, and it happened faster than I expected. It turns out that being a low-income worker helped this time. We don't have any property to divide. Before COVID, my husband and I earned about the same amount of money. We don't have children, we don't have pets. All of this made things easier. A full divorce will still take time and require more paperwork, but my husband is not contesting it. Did I force my husband to admit to cheating via text message or voice call? My lawyer told me it doesn't matter anyway. I live in a place with no-fault divorce laws, which means cheating doesn't change anything. It doesn't matter that my husband slept with my best friend. It doesn't matter that I wrote about it online. If what I said is true, the law doesn't matter. Everything just gets split down the middle. I don't feel bitter. Well, maybe a little. But my therapist says it's healthy to acknowledge when you're angry. Do I expect to get everything in the divorce? No, the law is the law, and there's not much to divide anyway. The only thing I took was a few family heirlooms, including my mother's jewelry, which I inherited after her death earlier this year. They're not worth much, but my lawyer said the inheritance is protected by law. Other than that, everything else, down to the socks, is added up and split in half. In marriages where one person earns significantly more, things like alimony and child support come into play. That doesn't apply to us. We don't have children, pets, or real estate. We are essentially splitting up as equals, only carrying emotional baggage with us. Why can't I find a better job? Believe it or not, $12 an hour where I live is actually above minimum wage. However, I may have some good news on that front. From messages people have sent me, I've learned that managers want hardworking employees. I finally feel confident enough to apply for a better job. However, I don't accept offers from strangers on the internet. I still care a lot about my privacy. What about my boss? I used to think my boss was a terrible person. It turns out he's actually decent. He helped me when everything fell apart, as I mentioned in my previous update. He also agreed to be my reference while I look for a new job. At the same time, he is trying to convince me to stay because I work hard. I didn't expect that. Am I still in touch with my best friend? Of course not. Not since that night, and never again. I blocked her and refused to talk to her. She came to me once to apologize, but I ignored her. I don't have time for her lies and betrayal. She also lost our entire group of friends. After everything came out, people started telling me stories about how she had betrayed them over the years. I had no idea. We all had different experiences, but they all pointed to the same thing. She cannot be trusted. I still think about her sometimes and wish things could have been different, but she destroyed my trust in a way that cannot be repaired. She and Mike are still together. They have each other, which was probably what they wanted all along. Did I kick my husband out? No. Instead, I left. About a week after my first post, I returned to my father's house. My mother died suddenly earlier this year from a brain aneurysm, and my father is suffering greatly. Returning home was the logical decision. Being there was actually very comforting. My mother was an incredible person, the kind of mother everyone dreams of, and she is the one I would rely on in this situation. My dad is not her, but now I realize that he has always supported me. He just did it more quietly. I never thought that at 30 I would be living in my childhood bedroom, but honestly, that's where I need to be right now. Besides, my dad makes great roast chicken and always has ice cream in the freezer. When it was time to move my things out, my friends came to help me, and my dad helped too. We did it all in one go. Many people warned me about how dangerous breakups can be, especially when the other person feels abandoned. Mike is a terrible person in many ways, but he never physically abused me. However, I wanted to be safe, so I asked for help. During the move, Mike decided to leave the apartment to make things easier, and everything went smoothly. Why did I call myself an idiot and blame myself? I guess I call myself an idiot because I've always done so. I take responsibility even when something isn't really my fault. This leads to the next question I was constantly asked. Do I go to therapy? Yes, many people advised me to, and I listened. Since it's anonymous, I'll be completely honest. Between losing my marriage, losing my best friend, losing my mom, and working nonstop, I had a nervous breakdown. There's no gentler way to put it. I was in crisis, and honestly, I probably still am. I don't eat very well. I still talk to myself very harshly and call myself stupid without even thinking about it. I have nightmares about my mother that wake me up in the middle of the night, and when I wake up, I can't fall asleep again. I cry for no apparent reason. Sometimes I cry so hard that I feel sick. When I fall asleep, I sleep poorly. I often feel anger and don't even know what to do with it because there is so much of it. Sometimes I forget that my mother died and think about asking her something. And when I remember that she died, I completely fall apart. Sometimes I almost write a message to my former best friend, and then I get angry again when I remember that she is no longer my friend. I miss sleeping next to my husband and that simple feeling of warmth in bed. So far, there hasn't been a single good day. I also have constant headaches. Life seems very difficult right now. No matter how hard I try, I can't just fix my feelings. I found out that therapy is covered by my work insurance up to a certain limit. My therapist also told me that when those benefits run out, she is willing to lower her rate so I can continue if I want to. It helps me to talk to someone who sees the bigger picture and can explain what's going on in my brain and why I feel so confused. I don't know if therapy will magically fix everything. I don't leave sessions feeling like I've been cured, but I do leave feeling like what I'm going through is normal, and that actually helps more than I expected. I've only been to 3 sessions so far, and now I have homework. My therapist says it should help me form new thought patterns. It's weird and maybe it's nonsense, but I'm trying. At least it's a step forward. I think so. Will I ever trust someone again or date someone? Eventually, yes, just not right now. My husband is the only man I've ever dated. He's the only one I've ever known. I never wanted anyone but him. And now that I don't want him, I don't want anyone at all. I'm sure I'll be ready someday, and when I am, I'll take it slow. Thank you for listening to my long TED Talk. I wish I had news that everything worked out perfectly and I'm living happily ever after. But real life isn't like that. It's chaotic, painful, and very real. If you've read to the end, thank you. And thank you again for all the kindness and support people have shown me after my first post. Life is chaotic, there are no shortcuts, I am in chaos, but I am moving on, I have broken up with my former best friend, I am going to therapy, and I am incredibly grateful to my dad.